Chase Matkins, Omar Baruti, and Judge Joe Brown, right here, right now. Omar says right here, as might be expected in a county that despite this ostensible Democratic majority, consistently elects Republicans in local partisan races. The 2018 Shelby County mayor's race developing faster on the GOP side than on the Democratic one. Take it away, Omar. Let's get into it.
You know, it's time for us to wake up in Shelby County. We have no excuse for doing what we did in the last decade, of putting Republicans in a house that they have no concern for our welfare at all. Just because they are popular, it don't mean they have anything that on their agenda that serves the people of this city and of this county. We have got to be politically wise and know who to vote for and when to vote. I mean, no matter how much they smile at us, they need to go.
Judge Joe Brown.
Well,
whatever you've got to say.
Crookedness in fixing elections can always alter the outcome so that the will of the voters is not reflected. These deballed voting machines are completely corrupt. They have been since day one. The federal government gave us the money to replace them. 10 years ago, we have not. All it requires is a simple majority resolution by the county commission to replace them. And we've had Democrats, multiple Democrats, who've been against it. Now, the term limitations, so that number of Democrats over the last 10 years has been extensive, and it's not the same group. They are corrupt too. They've committed too many, let's put it this way, freak sexual practices with too many people that they associate with. They've taken too much on the money under the table, and they've gotten too many things that could get them put in jail. And it's hypocritical and it's ridiculous, and there has not been particularly a low black turnout, but there is a concerted effort to use the altered outcome of these elections through these hacked machines to discourage the black voters. Whites are only 23.8 or 9% of the registered voters in Shelby County, and only 19.1% of the registered voters in Memphis. And in Memphis, for the city elections, it's not partisan, so we have the sorry spectacle of 5 or 6 blacks running in a race and one incompetent white candidate like Strickland, the current mayor, going in and cleaning up on that. And then in the county situation, we've got so many fixes going on and people boasting of how much money it will take them to either get in or get out of a race. And it's just disgraceful. The Democratic Party doesn't even know parliamentary procedure or its own local bylaws and rules. Nobody can run a meeting. Nobody has a clue as to what's going on, and it's been infiltrated by a number of people who exercise some control, who want the Democrats to push for a national vote, but then go support Republicans on the local level. So it stinks to high heavens, and this is a precursor of what's going to happen when the United States becomes a non-white majority country in about 30 years. They're practicing in places like Memphis and Shelby County, Tennessee. You've got a corrupt juvenile court where some of the elected officials down there need to be in a federal penitentiary, and for the last 35 years they've been building up a slush fund with taxpayers' dollars in a non-interest bearing bank account that used to be in First Tennessee, and it's up somewhere around $22 to $25 million now, and it's being used as leverage for conservative politics and election campaign funding all throughout this state. Somebody needs to go to a federal penitentiary.
Let's talk about these machines. I want to go back to these machines.
Deball voting machines.
Yes. Let's
see what happens is the way they're structured is the machines don't have a candidate's name in them. You see it on the screen that you get, but internally they have candidate numbers. And there may be 2 candidates for a position, but you may have 4, 5, or 6 candidate numbers in these machines. So what happens is there is a way of using a smartphone, an iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, or an iPad, or a laptop. And the instructions used to be, and probably still are out there, that California put out there to discourage the further use of these machines on how to act. Essentially what you do is you type up a text to a third party, and you put in a percentage that you want your candidate to win by. And what goes on is what's called technically a differential vote count. And when you get within 5 feet of a machine on election day, before you put the card in the slot that gives you the ward and precinct information in your ballot, you hit send, and by then you immediately hack that machine. And within 10 minutes you hack every machine in the precinct, and within 45 minutes to an hour you have hacked every machine in the system. There's also a repeated and disgusting thing that goes on right now, in that in the last 20 years, well, let's go back 35 years, there's never been an election machine breakdown in majority white precincts, but every year, every election, there is a plethora of broken down machines or machine malfunctions in those majority black communities or pro precincts. So it is a bad thing. It's just a disgrace. Now, when we had Catherine Bowers and her crew down there on the election commission representing the Democratic Party, we had some very effective representation. Press conferences would be called, but we've got this woman down there now that we have, what's the name? I can't think of it. I'll mention it when I come up with it. But what happens, she can't be bothered. She's got appointments to get her nails and hair done instead of going down and Norma Lester, that's her name, and she needs to be turned out. The Democratic Party doesn't need that. There is a very corrupt thing that deprives people of the effect of their vote on the state level, and that is whatever the party majority in the local area doesn't count, it's what counts on the state level. Like, for example, the Democrats are the overwhelming majority in Shelby County, but you have 3 Republicans on the election commission and 2 Democrats because the Republicans are the majority in the state. That's like gerrymandering and redistricting to favor an in-power party so that you can take control of the process of the election. Now, the first time Doc Harrington got elected for city mayor back in 1991, the late Honorable James Swearingen, then a circuit court judge, and myself, a criminal court judge, got summoned by the Harrington campaign to fill the role that you can call on state judges to fill, which is election referee. And when we went down there, the problem was that the Republican Party, who had an interest in maintaining Dick Hackett in office, and incompetent, just flat out incompetent, had aligned themselves against Doc Harrington. So they claimed that the computer records of the election tally that was supposed to have been recorded on a DVD had been lost. But the paper count was showing that Harrington was losing or had lost by about 112, 114 votes. And when we got to inquiring, one of the black janitorial staff came up to Judge Harrington and myself and said, "I think what you gentlemen want to see is in that second drawer on the left in that desk right over there."
Was Higher Ford a part of this?
No, he wasn't in there on this one.
Okay.
And we had our uniformed bailiffs over there, so we went to the individuals who were Republicans, it turns out, who this witness has indicated, and said, if you happen to remember, for example, that the disc that is missing is in the second drawer in that desk on the left, then your memory, your recollection got refreshed. If that doesn't get produced in a few minutes, you are being placed under arrest for election fraud, and Judge Swearingen and I have agreed that it will be a $250,000 bond for each of you. So they quickly found that disc, and it turned out that Doc won the election by basically it came out to be 124 votes. So that was back in 1991. The first time we became aware of what they were doing was in 1988 when some elections resulted, some protest resulted in election recounts. And when the recounts came out, it was showing certain candidates had won who had been announced as having lost. And what happened while myself and some other party officials were examining these records, this is in 1988, a white female employee of the Election Commission in her bare feet ran by and literally snatched the documents and the computer printouts out of our hands and ran into the ladies' room, and we could hear her tearing them up and flushing them down the toilet. We couldn't find a woman around to go in and stop her. So they refused to run the recount again for the next 6 days. So that materially altered the election, but it's been going on forever around here.
Okay.
Now these deballed machines don't even run the factory program. There's somebody in West Memphis, Arkansas, or now, who used to be one of the young Republicans around here at one of the local schools, who wrote the special program that is used by these machines now, back in 2000. They're based on Windows 2000. There's no firewall, no security system. There are no updates available. It's inherent in the hardware for the whole system. There's no way you can extract the hack that has been in there for at least 15, 16 years. So it can be reactivated so easily by simply coming in, putting in the numbers of the candidates that you want to win and by what percentage. So we haven't had an election around here that's fair since forever.
Right. Okay, I want to go to Omar. Omar, we've heard about these machines, and we've heard people talking about them and discussing them. What Judge Joe Brown just laid out, what we've heard from Minister Yahweh and etc., and he said Democrats voted against making change. So what has been done thus far has not worked. So what should be done at this point? What I'm hearing, we will never get done what needs to be done for the people. Omar, take it away.
You know, I believe that you should develop an independent committee to investigate and then sue the parties that are causing the vote to be misrepresented. Because without the will of the people being represented at the polls, then to me that should be a federal crime and somebody should go to jail. Not just be sued, but go to jail.
Well, and this is what he just
Guys,
said.
some people, as a retired judge, and now that my law license is in a medically inactive status, so they can't do anything about me, I will tell you that there are people that need to go to a jail.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking off the top of my head. That's no legal opinion. That's my opinion as a citizen exercising my First Amendment right. Now, here's one thing we might do. This is just as a citizen. This is not legal advice. You're right, Brother Omar, we need to have a committee, and what we need to do is file a class action against both parties demanding that these machines be replaced or an injunction be issued by Chancery Court stopping this election, because it's corrupt. It's been proven to be corrupt. The feds put the money out there to be used to replace these machines. There's no earthly reason. We need to call every one of these Democrats on the county commission to task, demand that they offer an explanation, and come up with candidates to run against them and finance them heavily if they don't agree to go down and vote to replace the machines. They won't have, the city won't have to pay anything if they hurry up and do it before bank fees have eroded what's in those accounts over the last 10 years, and it's just absolutely inexcusable. Perhaps what we need is like we did with Doc Harrington again, we need to have a people's convention and take this back, because the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are horribly corrupted. And they swing together too. So there's a sexual liaison problem between prominent members of the Republican Party and on the Democratic Party, and they used to hold some parties down here where they get real freaky, down on Peabody Place, just down from the Crump Stadium.
How problematic is that? in conjunction with a couple of things that we
Well,
mentioned
when they're partying together and they've got some stuff that they ought to just come on out and open and declare, I mean, it's not illegal. But when they hide that, and then there's a problem some of them have with cocaine usage, and there's a big problem that a lot of them have with having taken money under the table and now across the table. For example, since the Supreme Court has reiterated some very old case law that came from the 1870s about corporations, which have now been reiterated as allowing corporations to participate in the political process by virtue of campaign contributions. What happens is that some of the state, well, not state, but county and city agencies have been paying extremely high fees to certain private entities to do work for the city and the county, which are being channeled back by funding the Republican Party so that they can carry on their activities. And then, as I said, down at juvenile court with the complicity of the elected judge and the elected clerk, that's what that lawsuit is they filed against each other, and started up by the late Kenneth Turner and maintained and furthered by the last judge down there, Curtis Persons, especially when he was state senator acting as special judge at juvenile court. They set up a thing where money is channeled into a non-interest bearing account, which is illegal, and it's being used to leverage political campaigning by the Republican Party. I saw it. We got it in papers. I had the stuff brought out 30-some years ago when I filed multiple habeas corpus proceedings with the late Wayne Chastain against juvenile court. Judge Wythe Chandler closed the place down 2 or 3 times for a few hours until they corrected it, and we presented all of that as evidence into the record. When Shep Weldon got appointed down there some years ago, unexpectedly, he had Randy Wade, who was then with the Sheriff's Department, form a special team that went down there and seized 2 flatbed trucks worth of records that they were trying to sneak out. And that was because Judge Otis Higgs swore in, the late Judge Higgs swore in Shep Wilburn a day earlier than expected, and when we looked through the records, we got to physically inspect the bank records and the account in particular, and got the listing of who got the benefit of all of this. That would have been ample evidence for the feds to go put somebody in jail, but what happened was he made the mistake, against my advisement, of going to the commercial appeal. I said the commercial appeal is run by Pat Harris. She loves Kenneth Turner in juvenile court, and her son is the U.S. attorney now. So what happened is Terry Harris, who was the U.S. attorney at the time, he put it out that he was investigating Shep Wilburn for wrongdoing, not that Shep Wilburn had been the whistleblower, and the commercial appeal fostered this false image. So when Shep Wilburn loses the election, everything got dropped. And at that point, the amount of money that was on the record was $8.3 million, and that's been 20-some years ago. And now that sum has gotten up over 22, going on $25 million.
901-452-3094, 901-324-7490. You may go to tuneinradio.com, West Memphis, Arkansas Sports Channel. Join the conversation. Omar, we continue to hear discussion about criminal activity. Now, we have a midterm election coming up. There's been some discussion about a committee that will address the...
Can I say one more thing on this just very briefly? Mm-hmm. One of our problems is that we don't hold our officials accountable. Now, we had a young man who was U.S. attorney appointed by President Barack Obama, and he was in there for 8 years. He could have conducted an investigation, but they promised him a federal judgeship at a young age, and I guess the job security was too tempting. And rather than making a name of himself as a muckraker, he was so personally involved in making sure that this didn't come out that he withheld an investigation, grand jury presentment, on these things, an indictment process. And what happens? They double-crossed him as soon as Trump got elected. They withdrew his name that had been submitted by Senator Lamar Alexander, and they submitted somebody white who was quickly confirmed. Now, that was Hugh Stanton III.
Okay.
And I'll call his name. Brother ought to be ashamed of himself for letting that personal conflict cause him to neglect the duties that he might have exercised as a conscientious black man. I don't know him personally. I know his daddy, and I've heard from others that he talks a good game about being black, but he had his chance for 8 years to make a difference, and he didn't. See, that's too much what's going on. One of the problems here about proceeding in Chancery Court is too many black lawyers don't have the balls to go take it on, and if you approach them, they'd talk about they can't afford to do it, or they have conflicts, or they might get pressure put on them. Well, that's how you become a noteworthy attorney, is you take on the big boys and you win. But see, we have cowards down there now masquerading as black lawyers. And the local NBA chapter, that's National Bar Association chapter, is pathetic. They want to hold the chapter meetings in a certain location that is representative of basically the enemy in this whole thing, and they're all talking about, oh my God, you know, you people that came in front of us, you know, you really did a lot, but we have a different kind of thing. Things are okay now, and we have to worry about our careers, and we, you know, we can't afford to have clouds. No, you're punks.
Well, I will say this, Omar, we don't need attorneys for these two committees. I'm suggesting that these two committees, and the one I'm talking about, one you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, a committee to jump in there to deal with these individuals who split votes per what we're talking about for the community. That we can be effective in that regard. Now we're talking about the illegal diebold voting machines.
Juvenile court too.
Yeah. Will one committee, juvenile court too, will one committee suffice, Omar?
And our punk-ass NBA members on the younger side who don't have the balls to go do what black lawyers ought to have been doing. So
do we need a punk-ass NBA no balls committee as well? Omar, how many?
Just talk about it. That's why I won't associate with any of them.
How many committees do we need, Omar?
You know, if we had one strong committee with different departments that can go and explore those different areas that we have trouble with, one strong.
I take it back. There's one. A young lady, Taylor Estridge.
Okay.
She's got more balls than the rest of them put together, but they hired her in the U.S. Attorney's Office.
All right, continue. We got a call. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
They're talking again.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let's try to get you some better volume. What seems to be the problem, Chase?
Can you all not hear?
Can you?
I can hear.
Go ahead, caller. Who's this? The minister? Go ahead. I got it. Yeah, that's what the judge said. Right. Go ahead, continue.
She's reliable and authoritative on it. I'll second you on that.
Go ahead, continue, Minister. Okay, well listen, I'm interested in the getting to the solution. I mean, I'm okay with the analysis and what happened and who did what, who said what,
We could
etc.
get an
But what-
injunction. If we got any lawyer with some balls to take this on, we could get an injunction and stop these clowns from getting away with what they're getting away with. I cannot believe Randy Wade filed a lawsuit about this. He won in Chancery Court.
Okay.
And the election commission appealed it, and he's no ball black lawyers that he had wanted to charge him almost $50,000 to proceed on the appeal, which he could not raise. So they just said, we withdraw. Now, they are citizens of this county. They should have been involved, but that's what I'm talking about, this abject cowardness, this waste of a legal education on some of these ballless clowns we've got that is supposed to be the young lawyers protecting the citizens' interests.
Let's listen to the, go ahead, Minister.
Oh yeah, we do. I agree with you 100%.
Well, what? Okay. Well, hold on, Minister. Hold on a second. Omar, are you clear on why this has not been done? I mean, I'm hearing some of it. Are you clear on why this has not been done, Omar?
I thought they'd already bought the machine.
No, they haven't. The same debold machines they've had since 2000. The same one that California, Hawaii dumped in the ocean, Ohio dumped in a lake, and Florida got rid of, that California got so disenchanted with that they put instructions out on the net how to hack them.
Okay.
Now, the only two counties in the United States of America that still use those damn things are Shelby County and Haywood County.
Well, I've got a question for the three of you. Starting with you, Minister. If you were in charge of this committee, what would be your next step, move, or instruction? I want to go around the panel. Go ahead, Minister. Okay. I think therein lies your problem.
Well, let him go ahead. He's telling you what a solution is. He's telling you what a solution is right now that is viable without having
to let me help him out,
because
here's what I'm saying. Omar, this is what I'm saying. I'm asking for the solution. Here's what I hear. I hear that the solution at this point is too general. It's not specific enough.
I know that's specific. That is a formula.
Okay, continue. Well, continue, Minister. Oh, right, that's it. How do you get rid of the machine?
All you need is you need two avenues. You either get the county commission to pass a majority resolution. That's all. We below line resolve that, or you go to Chancery Court and you get an injunction.
Okay. Now I've got another question on that, but I won't ask that question. Go ahead, Minister. Hold on. Let me finish. Huh? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's go to Omar and then back to you, Judge. Go to Omar. Come on, Omar.
I agree, but you know, the last time when we had the election, and I was voting at the machine, and I noticed there was a candidate on the Republican ticket running unopposed. I voted right in, and he kept jumping back to his name 3 times in a row. And the 4th time when he jumped back to his name, I left him alone.
Okay.
I said something wrong with the machine.
Okay.
Well, see, here's the pragmatic thing. Go ahead, Minister.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. I totally
Yeah,
agree.
by the way, that's
Yes.
what Hugh Stanton III should have gotten himself involved with as U.S. Attorney around here. For 8 years, he sat on his butt wishing to be a federal judge at a young age and didn't do what he could have done. He didn't go after juvenile court. He didn't go after this either. See, that's the problem. And before that, we had the last Democratic U.S. Attorney was Ronnie Coleman, who got the position from Senator Sasser, senior Democratic senator at that time, from the state of Tennessee. He got approached by Kenneth Turner, a Republican judge who as a judge shouldn't have been involved, and the chairman of the Republican Party, saying, if you nominate Ronnie Coleman, we won't run Fred Thompson against you, we will run Bill Frist.
Okay, Judge, I'm coming back. Go ahead, Minister, because I want to hit the judge with this question right here. Go ahead, Minister. Obligated. Okay. All right, Minister, I hear you. And I will say this.
Hold on. Let me keep going. He's reading from the case. See, that's what the situation is. That everybody around here that says, screw the court, screw the legal principles, we'll just ignore that, keep on doing what we're doing. And these cows and these sheep out here, they just cattle, they just go right along with it and don't even squawk about it.
Okay, go ahead, Minister.
They're screwing us and don't even use any grease when they do it.
Go ahead, Minister. Okay, and the reason I'm asking this question, Minister, you're right, that there's an obligation there to take this action, but I'm suggesting there's a pre-obligation that we're sitting at this table talking. You all know this stuff, you've been working on this, there's an obligation to take some leadership and initiative to make the next move. Judge, here's my...
Now, here's where we have...
Let me ask you, Judge.
No, let
me ask you this. What is... In spite of what you said,
I know what you're going to ask.
What am I going to ask you?
What our answer is, we need to go after the idiots we've got on the county commission, who all they have to do is sign off on a resolution that they look at least twice a year.
Okay, where's the leadership? Where's the leadership?
We need to do what Brother Omar is saying. We need to get us a committee together. We need to make it hot as hell, because we talk, we can go meet up, we can go to these churches, we can go other places and get this word out. And all they have to do is sign this. We, the below signed county commissioners, hereby resolve to replace the deballed voting machines. Period.
Okay. Wait a minute. Wait. Minister, I'm saying this to you, a judge especially. Look, this is the last time I'm going to have this conversation. If there's no action taken, I don't go to meetings, to go to another meeting, and keep sitting at this table and talking about what should have been done.
He's not talking about that. We need to go down at the next Democratic Party Central Committee meeting, and we need to stuff it because it's open to the public, and we need to demand why they haven't called these partisan elected officials who are on this Democratic dominated county commission. We hold the majority on it.
Yeah.
Why haven't you called them in and deal with that?
I don't want to hear that we need to.
No, we can't do that.
I want to hear what we are going to do and when we're going to do it. When? When are you going to do it?
Well, hell, we go find out, somebody tell me when the next one is, and let's get 100 people down there and go raise some hell about it.
Come on, Minister. I hear you calling me. Go ahead. Okay? I
Exactly.
totally agree. Now there you go. I was with Dr. Harrigan. Where's the leadership? When is it?
Well, let him go. He's getting us there. He's getting us there.
All right, go ahead. Judge said you get this thing. Go ahead, Minister.
Was that in 91?
Judge said, was that 91? Was that 91, Minister?
Yeah, I was. That's when that's when James Swearingen and I were down there. I remember when you were coming back with that group, when you went over and got Doc Harrington. We were already down there doing our thing on it, and that's when we told them they were getting arrested if they didn't produce that disc. And I said, I'll tell you what, if your recollection has been referred and all of a sudden you now remember that that disc is in that drawer and you get it, then we won't have you arrested. Otherwise, you're going to jail. $250,000 bond. They miraculously remembered that it was where they put it and they came up and produced it.
Yeah.
Amen, brethren. And one thing, I'll say it again, we need some of our punk-ass, ballless young lawyers to act like they have grown some and come forward and volunteer to go get behind this. It would not hurt.
Minister, are you still there?
No.
Oh, he left. I want to read this next paragraph.
Yes, sir.
And see if it connects or we can tie it in where we are. It says, among Republicans, Shelby County Commissioner Terry Rowland announced for mayor more than a year ago. Juvenile Court Clerk Joey Tuliantos announced the week before last, and County Trustee David Lenoir reports he will definitely be announcing for the office this month. Lenoir also pointedly notes that there is no basis for recent rumors suggesting that he is interested in seeking the state Senate seat of Mark Norris, recently nominated for a federal judgeship. Now, Omar, you were saying something about that earlier. Judge, with these voting machines, is this a done deal already?
It's a done deal unless we go do something about it. It's not. Right. It's just demoralizing for our community to start talking about we need to go out and turn out for the vote, and they act and see. Contrary to what they say down here on the Memphis Flyer and with the commercial appeal 3, 5, and 13, that is a lie when they talk about we have a light turnout. We have a fairly heavy turnout, but it doesn't do any damn good. And see, we have a problem. Like we went down, for example, on one early voting thing, and we counted close to 380 some people in line to vote, and they came up with that day's tally of 124 folk voted. See, that's what they do. You get these votes cast. Norma Lester doesn't take a lane behind down there to go sit there and go through the paperwork and count the stuff. She's got a hair appointment or something going on. The other brother that's down there, he's a little slow, but he tries. But anyway, what happens is that they claim, I'm getting candy. I'm getting too old to sit there and be a politician to somebody, and I'm not running for anything else. So
you're already candidated.
You know, so the bottom line is what's been going on is they lose votes. You may have 40-some thousand votes, 20-some thousand, 30,000 votes that are lost on the candidate numbers for 2 or 3 extra candidates numbers that are in these machines that are not running, that don't represent anybody actually running, and then we don't have Norma Lester and company down there vigilantly demanding a count and a paper trail on how many votes actually went into that machine. See, and then they're talking about low voters turnout, and then they mysteriously lose the record of who actually went in there to vote on that day.
I see. Well, listen, here's a paragraph. I'm thinking, though, that there's almost no point in going further with this, but I will read this paragraph right here. It says, no Democrat has yet made a formal announcement, though former commissioner and interim state senator Sidney Chisholm has made it clear privately that he will run. County Commissioner Melvin Burgess, and I've seen some of his signs, has made broad hints that he would like to, and State Senator Lee Harris and former County Commissioner Steve Mulroy, both of whom are University of Memphis Law School professors, are still in the flip a coin stage of deciding which one of them will run. Mulroy was a candidate in the Democratic primary 4 years ago. But here's what I'm hearing, Omar, as a result of this conversation here. Perhaps there is more information, factual information, analysis that may be required. But I think, from what I've heard, that it is time to pull this committee together. Now this is something that I'm interested in. I perhaps won't jump up and run to every little meeting or so-called committee they're going to call or run around it, but I'm interested in this. So let's have a few more thoughts about that and talk more about how we're going to pull this together, Omar.
You know, Dr. Salute has already formed the committee and had it incorporated.
I think that's an excellent idea.
And it's the Congressional Committee of Tennessee, but the premise is let's find out what our politicians are doing in terms of representing us. If they're not doing that, then we need to get rid of them. But we got to have committees to investigate what their platform is, what their history is, and make sure that we know that and make the people aware of that. And if we have to file lawsuits, do that as well.
And Judge Michael Tharps is a friend of Talute's, and these brothers are friends of yours as well.
Yes.
So what do you think about that idea?
That's a good idea. As I said, there are multiple pronged actions we can take. We need to, anybody listening to this needs to go down to the next Democratic Party Central Committee meeting. It's down here at the the Union Hall on Madison, right in Midtown. What is that? IBEW?
I believe it is.
Yeah. And they should list it as a public thing if they've gotten their charter back, and stuff it and see what's going on. You know, they act in isolation, and you will see how embarrassingly inept they are. They can't even run a meeting because they don't know parliamentary procedure. They've got Dale Gill that for some reason they don't like, but Dale Gill's the only one that knows what the rules are and the bylaws are, and he tries to get them to comply. They want to shout him down when he just says you can't do that. That's not properly before the floor. You know, this is thwarting the will of the voters. So, I mean, it's a thing. See, they've been acting in isolation, and what we have is too often we don't pay attention because we're used to somebody handing out a ballot on election day, and we get 3 or 4 of them handed to us, and we look to see who's sponsoring it, and we just go and vote what's on there, and we don't do the right thing because we don't educate ourselves, especially on certain positions that'll be coming up in 4 more years, those judicial officers that actually run the county and determine what's going on. And we've got one person that for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, he puts the ballots out, and he's a convicted felon. And you know, you got another somebody that buys a new car with what he makes off of this thing every 2 years, every year and a half, basically on the cycles they run, they get the money to buy a car from what they get from taking cash from people to put somebody on a ballot. And it's just absolutely a disgrace. The Democratic Party had $150,000 that got embezzled, and nobody's done anything about that at this moment. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. 2014, 2013, they had $150,000 in the bank. Come July 2014, when the summer elections were coming up, they didn't have but $200 some left.
Okay.
And nobody has been held accountable for that whole thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. Chase, any comments, questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
All right. Cedric, Curbison, questions, comments?
Oh, well,
Grab them out.
the only comment that I have is it was an excellent discussion that happened today, and on the ballots and things such as that, in the democratic processes and all of the things that go along with it. I would like to talk also ask the judge, when it comes to civil court. We talk about family court. I heard we mentioned a few things about family court.
That's not a family court. That's a private enterprise down there making money off of the people. It's got a jurisdiction that it should not have. That's thanks to Curtis Persons when he was state senator. At the same time, he was special judge down there because the elected judge had a 6th grade education only, and the state Supreme Court wouldn't let the late Hack Turner hear any cases. So he set it up so they started getting adults, they started getting stuff that would ordinarily in any other county in the state be in the circuit of chancery court dealing with child support out of divorce situations. And they've got most of their business down there not dealing with juveniles but with adults, and they've just corrupted it. They treat everybody like they're doing them a favor. They are rude, crude to people. They've got these clowns down there who are referees and magistrates and who want to take their tea time, meaning golf, to have precedence over the interest of the citizens. That's what's going on down there.
Yeah, no, the thing is you know, the family court's supposed to be labeled as civil court.
Well, it's privately run and financed, so they make money off of this, and they're stockholders to the private corporate entities that make the money off of what they do. The whole thing is a privatized operation. You can't go down there without being referred to doing something online that, you know, that generates money, because you might have to pay $2,800 to take some online course before they'll listen to you. You have a job that's tight, you actually work, and they treat you like you're on welfare, and you go down there and the person says, wait a minute, I've taken 3 days off. This person over here who is appointed as some kind of guardian ad litem, I've called 18, 19, 20 times, tried to make an appointment, and they come in here and say, yeah, I can't do this today. I haven't had a chance to speak with anyone. And you know, I'm running a business. I can't come down here. These folk run businesses. They have jobs. They may be professionals. They don't have time to be treated like they're getting a welfare check and are unemployed. But people down there are young. They don't know what they're doing. They don't really care. It's just somebody knew somebody and got them a job. Now, there are some conscientious people down there, but I'm talking about not the medium level. I'm talking about the lawyers down there, the referees and the magistrates, who, by the way, are not elected. They're just lawyers that got hired for these positions by the one juvenile court judge who gets to do it, but Chancery, Circuit, and Criminal Court have to unanimously approve every other referee or magistrate in the county. But this one judge, who is a general sessions level judge, gets to pick these magistrates and referees who deal with adults for things that in every other county are handled by elected circuit and chancery court judges.
Yeah.
You got another
Well,
comment?
the comment really is the fact that it's so-called labeled as civil court, but there's busloads of people going to jail every day. I mean, we're talking about civil court, and I'm talking about the abuse of this, what is it, contempt of court.
That's what I'm talking about. Every other county in the state, that's handled by the DA's office and the circuit and criminal courts. Around here, it's handled by a general sessions court that shouldn't even have jurisdiction over the adults. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so those are the things, that was just wanted more clarity on that, because I think as we formulate the coalition or the group that we're talking about right now, those issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah. Let's get some, listen, I hate to cut it short. Look, I've got a transportation problem. So let's think about these ideas, come together and do what we have to do, and let's have some final thoughts around the table, starting with you, Omar.
You know, I need to contact Dr. Zaluk, and I need him to put Deborah Henderson's name at the top of the list of those that need to be investigated.
Okay.
Amen.
Deborah Henderson, okay?
Judge Deborah Henderson, general session.
Noted.
Black judge, but she ain't for black people.
Republican.
Yeah, a Republican. She ain't for black people.
And then there's another somebody down there, I can't remember his name, but a citizen had a very bad problem. The woman is a professional. She acquired some rental properties over the years, and she's been trying to get someone out of there, and complained to the police department, multiple visits, and then some junkie OD'd in the apartment. So she got all of the work together, consulted with a lawyer, goes down there, and the clown says, well, I don't have time for this. Just go out in the hallway, work something out, and see if you can't get the money paid. Well, Your Honor, it's about something more. See, I don't have time to hear that. See, well, you need a lawyer. I have a lawyer. He's, well, you tell him it's continued, so she's got a job, pays several $100,000 a year. She doesn't have time to be running down there and getting told that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
The case was well prepared, but she got, we don't have time to go work something out in the hallway. That's not what we're here for. Somebody died in the apartment on a drug overdose, for God's sake. What are we supposed to do here?
Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap this one up, if y'all don't mind. Any more comments, Omar?
No, ready for next week.
Ready for next week?
I'm
James?
ready for next week, and some of these folk around here need to get some balls.
Okay. Cedric?
Oh, man, well, just
Chase?
keep moving forward. Keep it
Chase?
moving forward.
All right. That's going to put a wrap on. I need to get up here and see if I can get this old truck going, man.
You know what I'm so hot about, mad today about? I saw this thing they had on TV yesterday. And it was about the new manhood. You should tell your friends you're afraid so they will know it's all right to be afraid. This man paradigm has got to change. Everybody can't match these old manhood standards. It should be, I'm listening to this shit. I got why am I listening to it? I say it's reconnaissance. Let's do it that way. I'm reconning these damn fools. And what's wrong with a woman being in charge? Why can't men stay home and support their wives? You don't support your wife, you damn fool, staying at home.
Yeah.
Whatever the occasion.
Yeah, man.
I'm listening to this, I say, you goddamn low-rice scum, look at you propagandizing this poison.
Plus, it's a soy-free, dairy-free, nut-free, and gluten-free.
Exactly.
So if you're ready to turn your
Hey, that's why, that's the only reason I say okay to Trump right now, because he's sticking it to those folks. Even so, show you how bad the media's got. This isn't saying what he did. What he did was he raised his voice and was loudly shouting at some of his aides, okay? So loud that you could hear it through the doors of the Oval Office. You know what they put on the headline? Trump screams at aides. That's not screaming. See, they want to do all of these. Men don't scream, they yell. Right. Children screaming, and I'm listening to it. They're not screaming. I'm hearing somebody go, hey man, hey, Line up, man. You know, blah, blah. That's not screaming.
Right.
Just text.
They talk about all these people in fear, and I wasn't afraid. It's just it was a damn inconvenience. Well, he was fearful. I was not fearful. It was inconvenient and a mess. I was angry.
Stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
You know that mess happened at that YouTube thing. They interviewed one guy said, I wasn't afraid, I just had a lot to do and I'm missing a lot of money. I'm mad about this mess. Well, you were afraid. I was not afraid. And they cut him off. Yeah. See that?
This is SB Nation Radio.
Yes, sir.
I see all the one other thing that's really bad. They got these Amazon-looking babes in these fantasy movies and television shows, dealing with some martial arts stunts, like they're kicking all these boys in the butt. And see, people looking at that gonna get some of these women jacked up. You know, they talking about domestic violence. And then these dumb hashtag Me Too stuff complaining about how men victimize them and turning around with the next belt, talking about they just as strong as men. Well then goddamn it, go handle it. Then they got these punk asses, he grabbed my butt, and goddamn, you didn't punch him in his jaw? What's wrong with you? You just defended yourself against an assault and went temporarily insane.
Okay, so I figured with this, let's go, because we kind of came, I was going to go 4 and a manager, but we're going to go 5 and a manager.
Man.
So we're going to go 5 wrestlers and a manager, all time.
Okay. Who goes first this week?
What was it last week?
We didn't
do it
last week. Remember, I was telling them, like, man, I can't do it.
You know what? I'll let you go first.
Did you see
Good
this?
show, man.
Go first.
I'll let you go.
Thank you. Did you see this?
If I'm going to get to go first, then I know he's banned from WWE for life right now. But the most iconic name.
Yeah, he sent me that.
Oh, okay.
He sent me that.
You like it? Did you see this?
I did. I enjoyed that, man.
You knew exactly where I was going with that.
My goal is to see if I can get everything. Okay.
This brother's on a
So I'm
motorcycle.
going to go with the Hulk.
2 white guys coming up messing with you. Check it out.
On my squad.
Watch, he's gonna come over and kick it.
All right, I can do
Now
it.
watch homeboy. Parks his motorcycle. Gets off.
All right.
Cheesiest song ever.
He a lefty too. He took his time parking his bike, making sure he did it nice and smooth.
Wait, here's the other view. This dude still ain't moved, man.
No.
He's still down. Wait a minute. There's another different angle. Let me find out. It used to be a different angle. Well, hell, let me try to get that one. The other one's even better. He just necks him back. He had sense enough not to take off his helmet.
They you play with fire, you get burned.
This is the one. Washington Post sponsored this damn thing. What does it really mean to be a man? That's what they had on them punk asses talking about. We need to change what it means to be a man. Oh, punk ass.
A guy who I think would be the biggest draw today if he would have walked back in the ring. And he didn't live far from me. Goldberg was talking about, fellow bald guy who wears all black, as he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, although I would tell you that as great as he was not as good as the Raps.
Have you ever seen a Pasofino do his thing?
Steve Austin.
A what?
A horse. And one time, until I had to get rid of him behind this divorce, I had the American Grand Champion stallion, Pasofino. Check it out.
Well, I grew up
Check him out.
in yellow.
Okay, so you're going to go with Hulkamania.
This isn't him, but this was a year before he started
I would
competing.
rather see Hulk wearing the red and yellow.
Stick around this drum now.
He never really fit to me.
Brown, take with me?
Yeah, gotta get up into that
I
truck.
thought it was good.
Let me put
All
this
right,
in.
you're gonna go with the.
You know, watching Hulk get punched in the face and turn around, he points the finger and he goes, "You."
Now that's more like.
Another state that has no state income taxes, and that is